Ago in a hospital room in Quetta, Baluchistan. My world was forever altered. At the tender age of 10, recovering from surgery, I watched as my father left, summoned for his government duty in a remote town of Balochistan, promising to return in a couple of days. Little did we know, those would be the last words we heard from him. 2 days later, on June 28, 2009, Pakistani intelligence agencies forcibly disappeared him from his workplace residence. The shock and devastation that followed are incredibly etched into my memory. The frantic searches, the tearful pleas for answers, the haunting silence that engulfed our home. For the past 14 years, 11 months and 3 days, my family, my siblings, my mother and I have been left grappling with the agonizing uncertainty about my father's whereabouts. I don't know whether I am an orphan, and my mother still wonders whether she calls herself a widow or still wait for her husband. Each passing day feels like an eternity as we swing between hope and despair, clinging to the fading embers of optimism that he will one day return. But as the years stretched on, the reality of our situation became painfully clear. Our once vibrant family was shattered, replaced by a relentless cycle of advocacy and activism. I found myself thrust into a world far beyond my years, reading appeals at press clubs, chanting slogans on the streets, and enduring the harsh realities of protests in front of government offices. Yet, amidst the chaos and turmoil, a profound sense of solidarity emerged, a shared bond of grief and resilience that connected us with countless other families across Balochistan. Tens of thousands like us have been torn apart by enforced disappearances, their voices silenced by the brutality of state-sponsored violence. Our ancestral home, a symbol of our heritage and identity, was seized from us and now lies under the control of shadowy groups affiliated with Pakistani secretive agencies. The loss of our home, coupled with the daily challenges of life without my father's guidance, has left us reeling, struggling to find our footing in a world that seems determined to erase our existence. But amidst the darkness, there is a flicker of hope, a glimmer of resilience that refuses to be extinguished. Despite the overwhelming odds stacked against us, I have become to realize that my voice cannot be confined to advocating for the release of my fathers alone. I am driven by a sense of duty to my family, to my community, to every victim of human rights violations who has been silenced by the oppressive forces that seek to crush our spirits. Some say I am a beacon of hope for other victim families, a guiding light in their darkest hour, but the weight of that responsibility is a heavy burden to bear. Can you grasp the depth of helplessness in Balochistan when another victim seeks solace from me, a daughter who has spent the last 15 years in searching for her own father? The plight of Balochistan extends far beyond the border of our homeland. It's a story of systematic oppression and unspeakable atrocities committed against us, innocent men, women, and children who dare to speak out against injustices. It is a story that demands to be heard, a story that must not be relegated to the shadows of indifference. For the past 7 decades, the people of Balochistan have endured severe violations of human rights, with the situation worsening significantly over the last 2 decades. Tens of thousands have fallen victim of enforced disappearances, their voices silenced by the cruel hand of state-sponsored violence. Several mass graves have been unearthed, bearing silence witness to the horrors that have been inflicted upon the people. The process of burying unidentified bodies in an abandoned graveyard continues unabated, a grim reminder to the countless lives lost to the brutality of enforced disappearances. Every time we receive the news of a dead body, the families of victims of enforced disappearances are plunged into an unbearable pain and anguish. It's a collective, re-traumatizing experience. For us, the mere through the body may belong to our missing loved ones is enough to send shivers down to our spines. Some bodies are identified, bringing a semblance of closure to grieving families, but for others, we left to bury them as unknown bodies, our living loved ones becoming the unknown in the sea of uncertainty. The absence of government measures to conduct DNA tests to ascertain their identity only adds to our torment. The most painful aspects is the bittersweet mix of emotions that accompanies such burials. While we mourn the loss of a loved one, there is also a sense of relief for the family that their agonizing wait for the closure has finally ended. The protests, the tireless advocacy for justice, all of it becomes to halt, replaced by the solemnity of laying a soul to rest. In these moments, I can't help but wonder what we have become, what we have been reduced to celebrating the end of someone else's suffering. Even as our own anguish continues to gnaw our souls. A haunting question, right? One that speaks volumes about depth of our collective pain and the resilience that sustains us in the face of unimaginable loss. But amidst the darkness, there is a glimmer of hope, a ray of light that pierces through the shadows of despair. It is the hope that one day justice will prevail, that the perpetrators of our heinous crimes will be held accountable for their actions, and it is a hope that I carry every day as I continue to fight for the truth and justice. And not for my father, but for every victim of human rights violations in Balochistan and other regions of Pakistan. But our struggle is not just against the forces operation within our borders. It is also a battle against the deafening silence of the international community, a silence that speaks volumes about the complicity of those who turn a blind eye into the suffering of others. Despite our tireless efforts to seek justice within Pakistan, we have been met with a wall of indifference, a system that is rugged against us, designed to protect the perpetrators rather than the victims. We have exhausted every venue available to us, from the courts to special committees, from government officials to the political parties, and yet our plea for justice have fallen on deaf ears, followed by racist, sexist, and dehumanizing remarks aimed at silencing our voices. But despite the threats, the intimidation, and the near daily reminders of the risks we face, we refuse to be silent. Our voices will not be silenced by fear, by intimidation, by violence. We will continue to speak out against enforced disappearances, against every form of human rights violations, until every last trace of injustice is swept away. And so, I stand before you today, not just as a daughter searching for her own father, but as a voice of the voiceless. I implore you to join me in this fight for justice, for truth, for fundamental rights for every human being who has been silenced by the oppressive forces of tyranny. Together, we can shine a light into the darkest corners of Baluchistan, exposing the truth for all the world to see. Together we can hold the perpetrators of these, hold accountable the perpetrators for their actions. And together we can build a future where justice, truth and human rights prevail for the people of Balochistan and for all the humanity. At last, from this platform, I have a message to my disappeared Baba. My dear father, wherever you are, I want to tell you that for the last 15 years I have relentlessly pursued your all disappeared persons for your safe recovery, never allowing myself to rest. The pain of your absence has driven me to become a voice for all victim families of enforced disappearances and their families. Through countless sleepless nights and tireless efforts, I have fought to bring justice and hope. Today, my resolve is unbreakable. I will not rest until the last disappeared person is released. I am very honored to receive the Frontline Defender Award for Human Rights Defenders at Risk. It has been a painful and hard journey. However, receiving this recognition makes my resolve stronger. This award is not just a shield of protection for human rights defenders, but also an inspiration and strength for those human rights defenders who are tirelessly working. And I will continue to raise my voice for the voiceless and dedicate this award to the resilient people of Balochistan and other human rights defenders. This award is a testament of their strength and determination, and together we will persist our fight for justice. I dedicate this award to the brave family members of forcibly disappeared persons, the mothers, the sisters and daughters who are tirelessly struggling in darkest atmosphere of hopelessness. Again and again, they are gathering their self-strength and fighting. Those unwavering courage in the face of all forms of suppression and human rights violations inspires me every day. Together, we will continue this struggle for you and for every soul of longing to be free. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you very much.